Welcome back in. It's hour number 2 of Three Man Front on this ugly-looking Thursday. Please stay weather aware. We're still on that line of demarcation, whether we're going to get some really ugly stuff or just a cold, uncomfortable weekend.
They kept talking about, I was watching one of the weather channels last night, and they were talking about the warm tongue of the Euro model. I know. I didn't know it was a term that they use in meteorology, but the warm tongue is apparently what we're going to be getting in between maybe the ice that's projected to the west of us there in Mississippi and then to the east of us in Atlanta and then, of course, everything that's north. But I think folks in Huntsville, the southernmost counties would be, Walker, Coleman.
Blunt.
Yep. But
Etowah.
as we know, everybody remembers there's countless times meteorologists doing the best they have with the information that they have available. But if you're going by a line or a graphic on a screen, then that's very, very risky. Everybody remembers Snowmageddon and that line.
Yep, all of a sudden it became a real problem that day. For all of you listening up in the Muscle Shoals, the Tri-Cities area, Sheffield, Florence, you guys pay very close attention to your local weather sources because it has the potential of being really bad up there. And, of course, all of our great listeners in the Rocket City and Decatur and Huntsville.
Be safe, guys.
Listening to us, please stay weather aware. And all of you in Central Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, over to Anniston, Gadsden as well, pay very close attention because we're right on that line of potential icing and all that kind of ugly stuff. Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline to talk about what is going on, the very latest in the transfer portal at the University of Alabama football team is Rodney Orr from Tider Insider. Rodney, I hope you have bought your milk and bread and you are ready.
I'm ready. It sounds like, though, that the forecast is improving for this area anyway.
Yes.
Now, last I heard.
Yes, but still, I want to make sure that you have your milk and your bread.
Yeah.
I went yesterday.
Okay.
I did. I went yesterday and did what I needed to do.
Okay. Well, good. You are prepared because I don't want to hear excuses about the message board being down this weekend after Alabama gets another big transfer portal commitment. We can't get on there and talk about stuff because Rodney forgot his milk and bread and he's at the convenience store trying to get it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not sure if that commitment's going to come either. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, let's start there because let's start with the very latest one. Alabama continues to shop in the transfer portal at the offensive line position, and they got a commitment or a reported commitment from the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some starting experience. I mean, obviously, that's a big thing. Started 9 games, I think it was, last season. Had some good moments, and I think there were some, he had some shaky moments, but I think he's a guy that brings the experience. He's 6'5", 320, Javen James. And I really thought that Alabama needed 2 guys with some experience, starting experience, and they've got Rayson Delgatti from Cal Poly on the interior, which I thought was really big. Guy's versatile, could play guard or center, has a lot of experience, took a lot of snaps as a center, so he could be the answer for the departure of Parker Brailsford next year. And then I thought they needed a tackle, and a guy with experience at left tackle is really valuable, and that's what James brings.
We paid a lot of attention to not only the offensive line, and you just covered that, but also the Alabama backfield. You've got bodies that you've got to replace in the running back room, and seeing where Miami freshman running back Gerard Pringle might be a name for Bama fans to watch.
Actually, I received a text message very late last night from someone connected to the Miami, the actual Miami staff, and he said, "Hey, it looks like this kid may be headed to Bama, Jared Pringle." And he said, great kid, tremendously fast. If you get him, you're going to get a big pickup. I know he had some great moments there. This year he had one game where he rushed for over 100 yards, in limited action. So he's a guy that I know they had a lot of big hopes for down there at Miami if he follows through now. We'll see. Miami decides to keep him, they could be really tough to beat, as you guys know. But based on what I heard, the feeling was that Bama was probably the school that would have the best chance at this point.
Rodney Orr from Tighter Insider joining us as we're talking transfer portal in the University of Alabama. You laid out, obviously, heavy portal shopping at the offense and defensive line. If this player from Miami comes into the fold, that could potentially, obviously, help out that running back room. But as you look at the totality of what they've done so far, nationally speaking, you're looking at maybe 15th in rankings from the transfer portal. What areas have you been the most impressed with? What areas do you think that they need to do potentially some more work if somebody becomes available?
Yeah. Well, I thought the one thing they needed to do was fill some needs up front on both sides of the ball. That was a very key priority, I thought, was, restocking the line of scrimmage. And it looks like they've done a good job. We won't really know, of course, but I think when we talked about, the offensive line, they also got some young talent up there that I think can be really good in over the course of time. Caden Strayhorn, an interior player from Michigan, Ty Haywood, former 5-star player, committed to Alabama that signed with Michigan last year at the offensive tackle spot. I think Nick Brooks from Texas, 6'7", 350. Talking to people out there at Texas, they think he is a guy that they had some high hopes for in the future. He actually played this year as a true freshman, started like 3 or 4 games in the SEC, and they really didn't want to play him early because they didn't think he was ready, obviously, but due to injuries they had to, but they thought he had tremendous potential for the future. And then on the defensive line, you really needed to add some interior guys, and the addition of Kedrick Bingley Jones from Mississippi State, again, assuming he gets his 7th year, 6'4", 320. He's got a lot of experience, obviously. And then Terrence Green, 6'6", 330 from Oregon was another big addition. So to see them add that bulk on the interior, I thought that was really important, and I thought they did well, with the ends. Devin Tompkins from USC, very athletic kid, 6'5", 290. And then I think Desmond Malulu, I just call him Des U. But from South Carolina, this guy's 6'5", 255 speed, quickness off the edge, a lot of potential there. So I thought they did good. And of course, they added the young man from Parker, Caleb Smith, who was a freshman and redshirted there at Washington this past year. So he'll be coming in. So I think overall, in the trenches, they did really well. And I thought they needed some wide receiver help. Noah Rogers is a guy that when we talk to people, they think that he can be a number 1 receiver. So, we'll see. From North Carolina State, he was originally signed with Ohio State. It's an outstanding prospect. And, they brought in some other guys. I do think you ask about what else. Personally, I think, with the number of receivers they have, I still think they could use another one. You always need depth. You always need guys in the event of injuries. So I think that's a key. And you mentioned running back, of course, which we've gone over. I think that would certainly be a very beneficial help if they could get a guy like Pringle or someone else. But overall, it looks like they've done at least by appearances, a solid job.
I'm going to keep asking until something happens, but any on the latest that you're hearing on potential staff changes?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, again, it's hard to say right now because nothing's been announced but we know the lingering speculation about a change on the offensive line. I mean, it's nothing new. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard something fairly soon on that. And, based on some people I've spoken to, they expect that to happen. And, I don't know exactly if Coach Cap is going to officially retire or stay on in another capacity, what it might be. But it does sound like, based on some conversations we've had, that a change is coming there. I know there's some people that cover these coaching things on a national basis that, we've had some talks with that think there's going to be multiple changes on the staff. But again, remains to be seen. But I think right now, if I was a betting man, I would probably say at least on the offensive line, we could see a change.
That is probably music to a lot of people's ears that call this radio show on a daily basis. And I'm sure that post on your website, Rodney, that a change could be happening on that offensive line. We'll wait and see. In regards to high school recruiting, I know we talk so much about the transfer portal now. It's time to look at the 2026-27 class. What are you hearing on that front? And because I know the coaches are out and about this week trying to get in front of kids and shake some hands and try to make themselves available for these players. What are you hearing on that front, if anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I have seen that they're certainly Kalen DeBoer, Courtney Morgan, a lot of these assistant coaches are making the rounds, visiting some players that are already committed to Alabama in this class. Just kind of getting out there, and it is kind of early, of course. Most of my focus right now is I've been swamped with this. This transfer portal's been crazy, especially the last week. So, but yes, this is picking up now with the visits to all these high school kids, and it'll be interesting to see kind of and moving forward. Does Alabama continue to use the same model that they've been using, that they've had here with primary focus on high school kids? Will they go heavier in portal? I'm hearing some schools that have used that model are kind of going to move it more towards portal. So be interesting to see. But yes, they are out on the road and hitting a lot of schools.
Be honest with us, and I know you will because you shoot from the hip and you're very honest with these answers. And I'm not trying to set you up here, but I am curious. If you go back a week to 10 days ago and you were seeing the inactivity of the Alabama transfer portal, were you concerned in regards to the direction that Alabama at that particular time was going in? Because I know it's rebounded with Alabama now having a top 15 class, according to the transfer portal folks at 247.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't. Was there a ton of concern on TiderInsider.com? Yes. I mean, without question. Now, personally, given the fact that, I've been covering this for so long, and again, the portal's only been here a few years, but just seeing how things work, I wasn't that concerned. I knew there was, again, there was some time and there were some players out there that they were recruiting and bringing in, and you always hear new names. I think people get real antsy because they want to hear information right now. It's like, people asking about coaching changes. They wanted to hear that right after the Indiana game, and they can't understand exactly why these changes or hopeful changes or whatever haven't occurred yet. So, but no, I really wasn't because of that, Pat. Now, if we were sitting here today, and it's where it was, 7 or 8 days ago,
39 or
I'd
51.
say, well, Pat, we're a little concerned about the direction this thing took.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because Landrum and I are always concerned about our teammate Crimson Conrad. And, he texts us like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He can't sleep. He's worried about the portal. He's giving us instant updates. And
going on hunger strikes.
Yeah, I mean, we're just concerned. And so we want to make sure that, you had that same feeling that we did, that, hey, look, this is a marathon, Conrad. This is not a sprint.
His emotions, Rodney, that affects me and Pat's day-to-day.
Yeah, very much so.
It's not really we're concerned about Conrad. It's more about us.
Yeah, it's about our personalities and how it affects us.
It's very distracting when I'm hitting myself in the face during the show.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think Conrad can rest easy. I thought they really rallied. So, and landed some guys. And we'll see. Like I said, they may not be done yet.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear, Rodney.
Hey, is that kid from New Haven? Is he still out there? The Chica kid?
Yeah, is the tight end? I don't know.
We'll check.
Hey, I was going to ask you the really smart kid from Yale. Did he commit to Stanford?
Nico Brown.
He did. He.
There was I actually got a text yesterday about that, and but I did not. I have not seen that. My understanding was Michigan State and UCLA. Although I know his brother was there at Stanford.
Okay.
I don't know if he did go through with that. I haven't checked this morning, but yesterday I could not find anything that suggested that. Now, there is a receiver at Idaho State.
Duarte. Is that his name?
Yes, yeah. Ian Duarte. And I know that he had told us a couple of 3 or 4 days ago that he might be setting up a visit to Alabama, and he would let us know. And we've reached out and haven't heard any more from him. But, maybe perhaps he's still in the mix in some way.
That is Rodney Orr, best in the business, Tider Insider. You can go to TiderInsider.com. If you do not have a subscription, you need to punch that button and sign up, because the message boards and the information that Rodney and his staff provides is outstanding. Rodney, always a pleasure. Good luck with your milk and bread this weekend. Hopefully you won't need it as much as we thought we were going to need it on Monday.
Well, you guys, you might be more in a threat than we are down here, so y'all be careful.
We will. Thank you, Rodney.
Thanks,
we'll talk
Rodney.
to you next week.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Rodney Orr joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Conrad, can you do the breaking news sounder, please? Because I feel like we need resolution here, and I'm going to give it to you guys. That sound means there's breaking news here on the show. For more, I send it to myself here at the breaking news desk, a three-man front. I don't know how we missed this, guys, but it did happen on January the 19th. John Summerall and the Florida Gators, they landed the commitment from New Haven tight end Evan Chica.
Oh, good. I'm glad Chica found a home.
Go Gators.
Dang it!
That's huge for Summerall. It's bad news for Alabama.
We needed him.
Now, Florida thought he was good enough, Conrad.
Yeah, you didn't.
Now we're
You don't need
stuck
6'5", 250 and a heart that weighs 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, you don't need that, do you?
Guess we're stuck with the Carson Newman kids, right? Those are some smart kids as well. Well, something that you need, because flu season is here, is you need to help make your home healthier thanks to Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of those airborne particles, including the ones that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you online today at Trane.com.
When we come back on Three-Man Front, we'll open up the phone lines, 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450.
11:20. It's three-man front here on this Thursday. Rodney or Tighter Insider. Lots of good scoop as we always get from Rodney. Dr. David Ridpath discussing the current nature of college athletics, the future maybe of the NCAA, and where we're potentially trending. AJ McCarron of the Stallions talking about the schedule release that we had here on the show and previewing the upcoming season. A lot of exciting things as we put college football, the college football season anyways, in a bow on it. But you do still have moves. Transfer portal, it's active. Alabama's still actively pursuing players, talented players. You got a freshman running back, Pringle, Gerard Pringle from Miami, who was a standout. We know who he was playing behind Pat, but looks like he was number 5 overall coming out of high school. That's not bad. You add that to already a lot of, at least one guy that's coming in that's super talented in Crowell. That'd be a big pickup late.
That would be, as Alabama currently this morning sits at number 15. Auburn, meanwhile, they got another commitment yesterday as they continue to work the transfer portal. Very impressive what they've been able to do. They landed a commitment from 6'4", 310-pound Miami offensive lineman Derek Plaz. He is coming to the Plains of Auburn. He was quoted to say, "The people sold me on the program. The support staff as well as coaches, everyone is genuine and speaks of Coach Golish in high regard," end of quote. So he is heading to the Plains.
How about our friends at Noto Roofing? They're a local company, but they service a lot of the state of Alabama. And you got guys that I know, family-owned business. It's brothers, Sammy and Matt Noto. I actually used to call football games when Matt was playing high school football. But these are great guys, and it's a company you can trust. We got precipitation. Don't know how much ice we're going to get here in the state, but we're definitely going to get some rainfall. And as we head into spring, we're going to see more and more of that rainfall, potentially storms. You don't want to have to deal with it. I don't know anybody who goes, you know what? I want to go out and buy a new roof today. But it's a necessity. You got to protect your investment, and why not trust the people that are protecting that investment? And it's Noto Roofing. They got professionals like Chris. They'll walk the house. He's going to be very honest and open. They're not going to try to sell you a roof or put a roof on your house if you don't need it. And they're going to make sure that your roof system is operating correctly. Ventilation inspection is going to make sure the hot air is able to escape the attics, which can help and lower your power bills. They offer free inspections to all Jocks listeners. Financing, if you need help with the payments, they can walk with you through the insurance process as well. NotoRoofing.com. That's NotoRoofing.com. Check them out and always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you.
Pretty interesting historical note of the weekend. ESPN's telecast of Sunday's Texans and Patriots matchup became the most watched event in ESPN television history, dating back to the network's inception back in 1979. 38 million viewers tuned in to the Patriots and the Texans game. Keep in mind, next year, ESPN has its first ever Super Bowl, which will obviously eclipse the 38 million that they had this year for a playoff game.
I don't know why it continues to amaze me, but the difference in the eyeballs that the NFL draws to the biggest games that we view in college football, a sport that we love the most. I love college football more than I do the NFL. I know you do too.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that really puts it in perspective.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that go, oh, well, college football shouldn't concern themselves with the NFL. Let's play the games when they want to play the games. That is why you do not want to go up against the NFL. I know we all love college football here, and the world revolves around it here. The rest of the world revolves around the NFL.
That is local burger chain trying to outspend McDonald's in a marketing campaign.
Correct.
Don't do it.
Yeah, the sponsors don't want to go head-to-head. I mean, the college football
A bad NFL game
folks
will crush a great college football game every time.
Mm-hmm. So I've not yet to see the data from the national championship game the other night. The lowest national championship game in regards to viewers, I'm going back to the beginning of the BCS era, 1998.
Tennessee.
Well, that was the game, but that was not the lowest rated. The smallest viewers that a national championship game has had since 1998 was the 2022 Georgia TCU game. 17 million people tuned into that game.
Where were you when you turned that game off?
Now, the largest in the history of college football is Texas and USC in 2005.
It's like the best game ever.
That was nearly 36 million. So think about that. The most watched college football championship in history did not surpass what the Texans and Patriots did on Saturday.
Wow.
And on paper, that was maybe the least appealing of the divisional round matchups, and it still did that kind of number.
38 million.
It does feel like with them not reporting the numbers yet, you know how sometimes fans will get mad on social media. You know, your team gets beat really bad, and the social media team doesn't post a graphic of it because like it was an embarrassing game. We just don't want to acknowledge it. It just kind of makes me think of that. Like, is the number really bad? And they're like, what if we just don't release it? Like, will people just forget about it?
You know, what's so interesting?
Pat won't.
As I'm sitting here looking at, this is my data. You can see. I mean, I got a nice little spreadsheet here that I keep up with each and every year with all my television.
You love your Excel.
And the two lowest viewed games in the history of college football national championships since 1998, because that's when the BCS started, was in 1998, involves two SEC teams. Georgia TCU, as I told you, was the smallest viewed game in regards to eyeballs. Number 2 was Alabama-Ohio State, which is very shocking.
What year?
That was one of my favorite games in recent memory.
Was it 2019? 2020?
2020. It was 18.65 million people tuned into the game. That was about 1.5 million more than the Georgia TCU game in 2022.
That's awkward. Being that COVID year, but also thinking about just how dominant Alabama was.
Yeah.
A lot of people just said,
probably a lot of people
not going to bother.
Yeah, a lot of people in Columbus and the upper Midwest said. Now, I'm sure the viewership in Detroit, Michigan was really high.
Oh, you bet.
People in Ann Arbor watching that. But the third least viewed national championship game was back in 2004, USC versus Oklahoma.
Oh, my gosh.
Remember that one?
What a bloodbath.
Yeah, that was bad.
We should have seen Auburn and USC.
Yeah, that was 21.4 million people. So we'll see where it falls in line. In recent memory, the 2023 game between Michigan and Washington only had 25 million people tune in. And then I'm sitting here looking at the whole list. We'll see 2024, Ohio State and Notre Dame only did 22 million. That was the 6th lowest. And once again, I mean, you've got two of the Blue Bloods, Ohio State against Notre Dame. You would think that would be a incredible viewed game. So that's why I'm very interested to see how the storyline of Indiana and Miami, how that translates to viewers. Because last year when it was Ohio State and Notre Dame, it was one of the weakest and lowest viewed national championship games in history.
Yeah, I'm looking at other sports and just to see what the viewership is, like an event like the Masters, and how, just trying to liken it, because a lot of people, of course, in the southeastern footprint, they're going to watch that tournament, even if they're not golf folks. Mm-hmm. Just well,
it's just like if you're not a NASCAR fan, so many people will watch Daytona.
Yeah,
but they may not watch Talladega.
But the highest rated one of the highest rated Masters that I can see, it peaked at 20 million viewers. Just to kind of compare it to what you're talking about with not maybe the sexiest matchup NFL playoff game, and then what we get with some of the marquee matchups in college football. NFL. Print money.
Monster.
They print money.
It is a monster.
38 million?
38 million.
38 million to watch that playoff game.
Mm-hmm. Texans and Patriots.
Not a conference championship, but 18 million more viewers than the Masters peaking.
Mm-hmm. Or there was 24 million watching Ohio State and Notre Dame last year.
Yeah.
14 million more people.
It'll be interesting to see what the number is for Seahawks and Rams this weekend. Because I feel like maybe the Broncos and Patriots will do good numbers, but because of Bo Nix being out, maybe a little less interest. But I feel like that
Seahawks, Rams,
that will do crazy numbers.
40 plus.
I do know that the Seahawks and Niners, that one tanked.
Like really? Because
it's just not competitive.
It was a blowout.
Like right after the initial return for a touchdown.
Well, that was like Georgia and TCU. That's why I joked. Where were you when you turned it off? I turned it off late second quarter.
Yeah.
Late second quarter, and I picked it back up because I had to watch the post-game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was more intrigued in that game watching it rain inside the stadium.
SoFi?
That has a cover.
coming through the sides.
Well, it's
coming in
got
the
it's
sides.
got
Yeah.
those holes in the side or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it
Ventilation.
looks all futuristic.
Yeah. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. We got some calls coming in. We'll get to those next. Rob Pate will join us at 11:45. This is Jock's 3-Man Front. Former Auburn DB Rob Pate will join the show coming up in about 12 minutes from now. I want to tell you about the incredible deals right now at Courtesy GMC in Trussville, right off of I-459, exit 32. How about the sign and drive lease on the GMC Canyon? 39-month lease, 10,000 miles a year, $0 down due at signing. That's $399 a month. GMC Canyon, 39-month lease. 10K miles a year, $0 due at signing, $399 a month. This is on the $45,000 crew cab elevation. You know, they started this morning with 16 on the lot, and they've already had multiples leave the lot. So this deal is incredible. You need to take advantage of it now. GMC Canyon, 39-month lease, 10K miles a year, $0 due at signing, $399 a month on an incredible crew cab elevation on the GMC Canyon. Get by and see Josh Gargis, Drew Lawley, and the fantastic team ready to deal the best deals you're going to find anywhere on a brand new Courtesy GMC there in Trussville, I-459 exit 32. Check them out online at courtesybirmingham.com.
Transfer portal is open. Alabama still, as we mentioned and talked to Rodney Orr about earlier in the program, looking to add to their transfer portal class. Auburn continuing to do the same. Yesterday picked up another interior offensive lineman in Derek Plaz from Miami. He's got really good size. He's a big kid. Most of these offensive linemen are. But now just keeping up with the numbers, Pat, Auburn has signed 5 guys that would be classified as an offensive tackle, 5 guys that would be considered an interior offensive line. So if I'm doing numbers based on Ellis coming back, maybe 1 guy through, or 1 or 2 guys maybe through recruiting, you're probably looking at that room around 12 or 13 right now.
Yeah.
But looking to add more, and they've got another Miami offensive lineman that is looking to visit Auburn at least, and we'll see if they're able to sign him.
Some other big names that are still in the portal. We've been paying close attention to Colorado offensive lineman Jordan Seaton. It's been pretty interesting to see all the star-studded coaches go in and out of Atlanta, Georgia recently, trying to get his services. You saw Lane Kiffin fly to Atlanta. Tigers felt really, really good about grabbing him out of the portal. Meanwhile, Dan Lanning showed up. On3 is reporting that the momentum for the LSU Tigers, it has wavered, and now multiple schools believe the decision needs to come within the next 24 to 48 hours for him to enroll to be part of spring practice. So Miami seems to be the team that is gathering the most steam for Jordan Seaton, the outstanding offensive lineman who played at Colorado this year. Also, Damon Wilson played at Georgia, went to Mizzou. Remember, Georgia's suing Wilson to get money back. He got into the transfer portal. Remember, everybody down in the Bayou said, oh, he's going to be an LSU Tiger. Well, not so fast, my friends. According to On3, it appears the Miami Hurricanes. You see, Miami's doing a lot of work now. They're kind of playing catch-up after the national championship game because, been a little focused on trying to win the national championship. So now they're in potentially for Jordan Seaton and Damon Wilson. Caden Lee, the outstanding Ole Miss wide receiver. I know Conrad would love to see him in a crimson jersey in Tuscaloosa this upcoming season. Well, apparently, if he does not come back to Ole Miss because he's waiting on the Trinidad Chambliss situation, the University of Missouri seems to be the leader. Yep, for Caden Lee. And as Rodney Orr told us, Gerard Pringle, backup running back at the University of Miami. He is in the portal, and to keep your eyes on him potentially coming out of the portal, with Alabama being one of the teams that they believe has an inside shot at getting him.
I leave a lot of the PFF and stuff on offensive linemen. I'm just going back to Jordan Seaton just to see what folks like PFF, they give him the grade. Pass blocking, exceptional. Apparently run blocking. They've got pass blocking, a grade of 91.4. But run blocking, 52 to 56.
Well, I guess Sam Levitt's going to probably throw the ball a lot.
Would think so.
So maybe that's
Miami likes to run the ball, though.
Miami does like to run the ball if he goes that route. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
What's that dollar amount look like?
I saw when he entered the portal that the bidding started at 2.5. That was the number I saw.
Okay.
It started.
That was the starting negotiation was 2.5.
Is it crazy that I thought that the number would be much more than that?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he ended up getting 3.5. He's great. I mean, he's a great player. I know some people at Colorado were a little upset with maybe some attitude things. And things.
Oh, I was just splitting hairs, just wondering why this guy was such big. I've heard his name. I've seen him play.
Yeah, I mean, I know he was all Big 12 second team this year, and I mean, he's a big guy with a lot of potential, and I mean, that's where the money goes.
Also, earlier this morning, it was announced the UFL schedule. The Birmingham Stallions will play its first home game on Saturday, April 18th, 4 o'clock kickoff against the, well, actually, that's a 3 o'clock kickoff Central Time. I'm looking at a Eastern Time Zone calendar. So, yeah, 3 o'clock at Protective Stadium against the Orlando Storm. So the first 3 games for the Stallions will be on the road before they come home and play their first one at Protective.
Well, that'll be about the time that the weather gets nice, right?
Mm-hmm. April 18th.
And the guys in the end zone and a couple of gals, they can have the shirts off. If you've never been, the gals, they wear sports bras.
And by the way, that is the...
Unfortunately, the guys do not.
That is the exact same date as the Auburn A-Day game.
Is it?
It is.
A lot going on. You know, the spring schedule is very, very busy, Pat. Very busy.
It is. When we come back on Three Man Front, we will talk to Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, give us his thoughts on the current situation with Auburn and the impressive nature in which they have been operating the transfer portal. That's next on Three Man Front. $11:43 here on Jocks. Welcome back into the program. On just an ugly day. Rainy, going to be cold over the weekend. Hopefully, we're going to bypass any of that bad stuff. Let's go down to Lee County. I think he's in Lee County right now. Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, joins us now on Three Man Front. And we've been asking all of our guests today, Rob, milk, bread, check those boxes. You're good to go. You got the chains ready for the truck?
Man, that's what we were just talking to Conrad about. We tend to avoid most of this stuff here in Auburn. I don't know. I guess it's just hot through here, and everything stays north of us. So I don't think we're going to have too much of an issue. Hopefully not. But I'm walking distance to Sweet Frog, so we got everything we need.
There you
and
go.
Give us your fondest memories from the blizzard of '93 that we all enjoyed together.
Yes.
Oh man, the craziest thing was that. So I was already dating my wife, and so I guess we were in the ninth grade at this point. Her parents actually let her walk to my house, and
Really?
we weren't particularly close to one another. I mean,
That is scandalous right there, Rob.
it was crazy. I mean, and we walked to the grocery store kind of halfway. I would say it's probably a quarter of the way from my house, 3/4 of the way from hers, and we met at a grocery store and got some food and then carried it all back to the house. But
Wait, where'd you go? The Food
know,
World on Carson Road? Where'd you go?
no, no. She lived closer to Carson Road. I lived closer to Center Point Parkway. So
Okay.
I was back behind the old Center Point courthouse.
Oh, my
and,
goodness.
she was in the Dunwoody area on
Mhm.
the other side of Irwin High School. So
Yep.
I mean, it was a trek, and
That's
you know,
love,
but sure enough,
Rob. That's Rob.
she
That's
came
love.
walking. She came walking down the street in one of those snowsuits, and you know, so it was craziness.
Me and my sister, because we didn't have power for 2 weeks, and back then didn't have the entertainment that people have at their disposal and to be able to have there with their phones and everything else. So, you know, a week and a half in, we're getting a little stir crazy. Me and my sister, no kidding, we walked to some friends that live probably 3 miles away, and like a lot of hills, just to get out of the house and to do something different. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, we had, my mother worked at our church, Centercrest Baptist, and we lived maybe, you know, a football field away from the church. And so the church had all gas appliances in the Family Life Center and had a wood burning fireplace. So we were able to crowd around that fireplace and still cook. And then we had the gym to go shoot basketball and that kind of stuff when it was daylight. So we didn't rough it out too bad.
Yeah, we lived in Stonehenge, and we had that thunder snow. That was good stuff.
Yeah, we got the thunder snow.
Yeah, that was some really good stuff.
We had no heat.
Man, Stonehenge was the place to go to look at Christmas lights.
Yeah, I cussed every Christmas season when all the church vans coming in my neighborhood looking at Christmas lights.
And then that's totally Pat. He's out there. He's like, you don't live on this street. Get off the street.
That's right. Exactly. People like Rob coming over my neighborhood. All right, Rob, let's talk transfer portal because Alex Golich and his staff, they have been extremely busy right now. Depending on what service you're looking at, the transfer portal rankings, they got Auburn in the top 12. They've done a really nice job. Just your overall thoughts on what you've seen them putting this roster together so far.
You know, going after a lot of guys with experience, especially on the offensive front. You know, what Auburn had as the transfer portal opened was, man, I mean, just a dearth of experience and just even bodies along the offensive front. And so being able to go out and get enough guys to make Auburn competitive. And, you know, I think personally that's the most difficult place to build in the transfer portal is on the offensive front. You know, people talk about teams like Indiana and, you know, what they've done with, you know, less talent, but I think most of their offensive linemen, they stayed in their system and those guys were, you know, old guys that had played together for a long time. And I think that matters there. But, you know, having guys that they have coached at South Florida, and I know a lot's been made of how many guys have come over from there. I think it's telling that those guys want to continue playing for that coaching staff, and hopefully that, you know, they can sort of guide the way of what the expectations are, and, you know, and nothing is more important than having great quarterback play. I mean, you can mask so many things, and you know, for the last couple of years, Auburn has had an issue with that significantly that has cost us many games. So being able to get that right, I think, was the biggest win for Auburn.
As we take an early look at the defensive side of the ball, and we know guys like Xavier Atkins, those kind of guys that are coming back in some of the ads through the portal. But if there's a deficiency, or as you take an early look, maybe you don't see a deficiency, Rob, early look at that 2026 defense and how it's setting up for DJ Durkin.
Well, you know, they lost a lot of guys along the defensive front that played a lot of football, particularly at edge rusher. You know, that you can't replace Keldrick Falk. I mean, just he took on so many blocks and made so many different plays, and he'll have his name called on day one in the NFL draft. You know, I think that they're very happy with the quality of player that they were able to retain. Just a lot of those guys are young and still haven't fully proven themselves as far as made a name for themselves around the league. But I think they're capable. Um, being able to hang on to your safeties, I think were huge, and then being able to go get some corners that I think they feel like were in line with the value they were willing to pay. The two corners that Auburn lost, I think, were really good players for Auburn. But this coaching staff said that they didn't think they were worth what they were asking for, and so for them to kind of stick to their guns and go find some guys that have been playmakers and talented players in other places and bring them in, I think that will bode well. I think defensively they're going to be in good hands, and being able to retain most of your quality players, but also just the terminology and another year in the system. Coach Durkin has those guys playing really well, and I don't expect much of a drop-off there on that side of the ball.
Rob, in our remaining minutes, I just want to get your opinion because you're coming from someone that busted your tail in school. You worked hard in the offseason, both trying to put money in your pocket, Pell Grant, all that kind of stuff to try to play football at Auburn. I'm just curious, your line of thinking, and when you see stories like Charles Bediako coming back after a failed G League NBA career, now going to potentially play for Alabama in basketball, or someone like Darian Mensah at Duke who signed a 2-year, $8 million contract, and now he's getting out of the contract because now he wants to go play at Miami. Just overall where we are currently in intercollegiate athletics.
Nothing surprises me with this any longer. I mean, it's each year it just seems to up the ante, and we just keep taking it to new levels. I mean, look, this isn't the craziest thing, guys. I mean, in my book, we have men playing against women in different sports. I mean, that would sort of be at the top of mine of the asinine scale, but we do it because we have a fear of being sued. We have a fear of taking a stand. Taking a stand for something is costly, and we just have a society and a leadership structure in many places, but particularly in college athletics, that just they're not willing to bear the cost. It's too soft, and it's too much power, and it feels too good. To have the executive suites and the powers and the money and the things that they're able to maintain, and let some of this other stuff just sort of fall by the wayside. And it's a shame. When I was playing, I just I advocated for guys to get paid, but I just wanted to be paid enough to be able to eat well and not have to have peanut butter and jelly every week. But what's happening now? It's crazy. It's driving fans away. And it's taking away opportunities from other people. It's going to end these other sports, and some people may say, well, those other sports don't produce revenue, but that's the college experience as well. A full faceted education and opportunities for people that do things at a phenomenal level. Simple things like my daughter that plays college volleyball. In 10 years, I don't know that there's going to be volleyball and some of these other sports, especially at schools like she's at. The SEC schools and the Big Ten schools, they'll be able to weather it. But the American Conference and the Conference USAs and some of these other places, they already are getting less money in their scholarship checks because the revenue sharing has meant that more money goes to football, so more scholarship money goes to them. And it's just crazy. And it is what it is. But I wish we had some leadership and some backbone of people to stand up and pay a price. Let it be costly for somebody, and we just have an unwillingness to go there.
Well, in the nature of the system, it's continuing to just feed the beast, if you will. We heard from a college coach the other day, Pat and I did, and he told us off the record. He said, "Look, they're at a non-Power 4 school, a backup defensive lineman on a bad team. Last minute gets offered $500,000 to go to an SEC school.
A backup."
And just as a reference point, you take a guy like Derek Hall, who was an All-SEC monster at the defensive end for Auburn. That was just a handful of years ago. I mean, he was unblockable in the Alabama game, and I think he got paid $85,000. And so to see he could command $2 million in less than a 5-year time gap.
Oh, and hopefully we'll get down there soon, and Pat can try your 183,000 toppings.
Yes.
Hey, we would love to have you guys. Let us know when you're in town. And as always, War Eagle.
Hey, we'll do it, brother. Thank you. That is Rob Pate joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham's your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services, from one good friend to another.
Brett Norsworthy comes up next on the program.